I guess we're not doing the deck. Like, I honestly have no idea what else to do. And someone just heard that.
You guys look like security guards.
Thanks.
stuff. That's a perfect.
Yeah. That article did a great job framing me up. I love that headline. I'm like, huh, you did a good job.
Well, because I want to send them. I almost feel like I should send them your family picture instead of them using just some stupid classroom picture.
Yeah.
Because the article's gonna be there. Let's put all of our stuff in those articles.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want? Do you want a CTA in these?
See who?
Do you want a CTA?
Oh, geez. I mean,
We
I honestly,
an article.
no. Sometimes when you have something that trends hard like this, it's all about discovery. It's all about discovery because when they interview me, it's gonna get into private jets. Well, how do you afford that? Then it's gonna get into real estate and business, and it's gonna lead into everything. What we need to be prepared for is our team abuses KrisKrohn.com to like push certain CTAs when it really needs to be everything Kris Krohn is a link tree that takes you to everything. They don't do that very well.
Yeah. Well, and
have you sent my press kit to all those people?
No. Because I have Kylie actually updating it and then I'll send it.
Sure, it's updated enough.
The beautiful thing is now we have the Kris Krohn show that can be our.
Oh, I want to get Glenn Beck on it. Like, get all these people. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk to him? Jump on the Kris Krohn show.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna need you this week and next week to give me 1 to 2 hours to jump on those because they'll all be virtual.
Yeah.
We'll come to the house and do it.
All you need to do is put me on a 3-way and we'll find the time. We'll do it.
go while the show's going or do you want to do it?
No, it's okay.
Stand up, give it up for Kris.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
We got about 300 people online.
All right, sounds good. Hey, what's up, everybody? How we doing? Oh man, it must be like a group of salespeople or something. You guys know something about bringing some crazy energy, yes or yes? Yes. Hello, yes or yes? Yes. That's what I thought, that's what I heard, and I know we got a whole bunch of people online, so I just want to say hi to everybody here. And Aaron, thank you for that introduction, and it's my pleasure. I'm really happy to be here tonight. It's kind of nice for me because I live in Utah, and it's really just kind of down the road from Woodland Hills, and so I'm excited to be with all of you, and I hope I can share some things that will be useful for you, because I think I have a ton in common with you. Before I was a real estate guy, before I owned hundreds of businesses, I was a sales guy. And the one thing that I go out there and I try to tell everybody, it's like, hey, everyone is always saying, save your money and invest. And then if you invest successfully enough, then someday you can have, millions of dollars and you can make it. And I don't think that's good advice. I don't think it's good advice to say, hey, get good at budgeting and then investing. I say the very first step, figure out how to get a job paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. That way, when you budget and save something, you have a meaningful amount of money. You show me someone that makes $50,000 a year and they save 20% of their money. You guys know the math on this. How much are they saving a year? 10 grand. It takes money to make money, but what can you do with 10 grand? What can most people do with 10 grand? They can't do a whole lot. There's not a lot of access into some of the really high-level investments like we're going to be talking about tonight. But if you can push yourself to put yourself into a position, if you can land it big in the sales job, and maybe your first year, dude, my first year in sales, I only worked 9 months of the year before I got my W-2, and it said I made $18,600. I got to tell you, I saw you chuckle right there. I was so proud of that because I was like 21 years old. And I was a return missionary. My church, I went and I spent 2 years in Germany. Before that, it was high school. So I'd never made $18,600 in a year. I was proud of myself. But I was one of those that got married young. And so my wife and I, $18,600 was also not enough to pay the bills. So I'm like, crap. But I got this. I see people around me that are making hundreds of thousands. I bet if I apply myself, I can figure this out. Next year, I made over 50 grand. The year after, I made over 100 grand. And then after that, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I really credit a lot of what I'm doing with my life today to the very first skill that I mastered. And it wasn't real estate. It wasn't speaking. It wasn't transformational artistry and a lot of the things I do today. The very first thing that I mastered was sales. And that's because if you get good at that game, then you can fund the kind of investing that will get you where you want to go. So I just want to say, I feel really welcome being here in this space because I know that that is what you're living and breathing by, which is, all right, I'm going to leave my family for 10 days. I'm going to ship out somewhere in the world. And if I suck for 10 days, not only is that not going to be good, but then I got to look forward to doing that again the whole next month again on my next blitz. And so you put a ton of pressure on yourself to figure out how to become a high performer because there's a lot of pressure. It's like do or die. It's like, I want to figure out how to be in the top 20% so I can start making six figures, multiple six. But then I want to get in the top 1 or 2 or 3 or 4%, right? I don't know if we got anyone here in the room. I'm sure we have between those in the room and those online. There's got to be some of you here that are in the top 1, 2, 3, 4%. You've been honing and your craft and your skill well enough where you got a lot of options on things that you guys can do in life. So anyway, glad to be here. I do have some things that I'm going to share. We'll do some open Q&A at the end. But before I get started, I would love, I don't have a way to necessarily hear from everyone online unless you guys drop some comments, and feel free to speak up. But for those of you that are here, first of all, have any of you ever heard of me before? I'm just kind of curious. So we have some of you here. My next question is, what would you like me to cover tonight? What would you like to hear about that would be useful for your next step in life? Because I get that this is your gig. This is your leap pad, right? Like this is where you're at to make it big, make good money, and then go on eventually to your next. What can I talk about tonight that would be useful for you?
Anything that comes in online, make sure you guys.
Anything that comes in online, go ahead.
I'd say house hacking.
House hacking?
Your first deal, didn't you get your first deal in Provo?
I got my first deal in Provo, not 20 minutes from here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little bit about that one. So we'll definitely talk about house hacking. Thank you. What else? What else do you want to hear about?
Where to start?
Where to get started in the game of investing? 100% we will hit that one.
Kind of like a pyramid, right? Where like, what would I do with 50 grand? If I had 100 grand, what would I do with that?
Okay.
If I had 500 grand, what would I do with that?
So if I had 50 grand, if I had 100 grand, if I had $500,000,
Yeah.
what are my different options for investing?
Yeah.
I love that. We're going to play that game.
I'd say with all your experience, as an investor, we all come into pitfalls. We don't really see them. So what have you seen over the years to kind of look out for? Obviously,
Yeah.
we've got kind of an interesting market.
Pitfalls.
You know,
I'm going to hit that because I'm going to tell you that when you get good at making money, it's super easy to fall in this trap like, hey, my buddy told me about this thing and no one knows about it and it's just 25 grand and it's going to do this thing and it's got all this asymmetric upside. It's going to go to the moon and back and you're going to lose all your money because you're going to put all your money in the one thing because salespeople are saps. Like, we're good at selling, but we are really good at buying. We are, how many of you know what I'm talking about, right? You get good at selling, and man, you can be sold really hard. So we can get sold on a lot of BS investments that are out there. We'll talk about pitfalls. I like that. What else?
The lesson that took you the longest to learn.
The lesson that took me the longest to learn, like when I lost a decade of my life being confused as a real estate investor after thousands of deals when I was supposed to move on to private equity where I was going to make like millions and hundreds of millions. Yeah, we can talk about that one. Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you right now, so I've had a goal since 2009 to be a billionaire. And it's not just a money thing. Like in my marriage, I got goals for the most amazing marriage. As a dad, when it comes to my body and my health and my longevity, I got goals. I'm always going for like the biggest, craziest, whatever. And I'm like, well, in the money game, once I was 26 years old as a millionaire. So guess what your next goal is once you're a millionaire? After $1 million, doesn't come $1 billion, not quite. Probably 10. We think in 10Xs. And after 10 million, guess what your next goal is? 100. And if you get to 100 million, folks, you know what comes next, right? $1 billion. And $1 billion is a crazy number. But when you are worth over $100 million, do you think $1 billion seems scary anymore? No, because here's the deal. We probably got a ton of you online in this room that have made $100,000 in a year. And if you haven't, dude, this next year is your year. You're going to figure it out. You're going to crack that code. But when you do it for the first time, you get hungry and you start realizing, $1 million is just 100,000 10 times. The mind can conceive of that, right? When you get to $1 million, 10 million is not a big number. And when you get to 10 million, 100 million is not a big number. And I think sometime 2024 may be my year, after 14 years of pursuit, to finally have hindsight vision on being a billionaire and saying, that's how I did it. So I'm really close because I've been playing this game. So I'll share some of those lessons as well. Anything else? We're going to take one or two more. If anyone else is like, Kris, make sure you hit that one thing, and that'll be extra worthwhile for me. Anything else? Oh, my daily routine. My morning routine. Okay, we'll talk about that. That offends some people. Okay. 4 a.m. is an offensive hour to some human beings. But 4 a.m. is like my God hour. It's my favorite time of day. I love it. Okay, so we'll talk morning routine. Any last requests?
I don't know. I think a lot of people are scared with interest rates to get into real estate right now.
Oh yeah, so dude, the consumers are so interest rate driven, right? They're like, dude, it's gotta be the worst time. You know what's really weird? Everything in money is counter-cyclical to what everyone is thinking. I swear, if everyone is like, that's popular, then the other way is where you make the money. Can I tell you the weird thing about interest rates right now? Do you guys want to hear the weird thing on interest rates?
Yeah.
Are interest rates high? No. We are on the 40-year average. We have been seduced since the 2008 housing bubble crisis to having basically free money. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's normal. I'm like, there's nothing normal about prime plus one. Are you kidding me? Interest rates today, these are normal, but we're all thinking that it's really weird. Here's the strange part. How many of you think Biden is going to run for a second term? I didn't ask if you like the dude, but how many of you know that every president with one term goes for a second? I don't know how they're gonna do the makeup thing or the mask or the alien thing or keep them going. But but if he wants a shot, which he doesn't, but if he wanted a shot, right, let's go Brandon. If he wanted to have a shot at being president, then he's gonna have to do what to interest rates? Yeah, so Rocket Mortgage predicts that rates will drop all the way to 4.1% by the end of 2024, right before the elections. They're going to steadily decrease after Q1 next year all the way down. Do you know what's going to happen when they drop from like 7.5 to 6.5? Real estate is going to freaking go through the nose. If anyone had any brains on real estate, they would try in the next 45 days. If you had 150 grand, you'd buy 3 properties. Do you know why? Because you will always be able to refinance your interest rate lower, but there's nothing you can do to stop the skyrocket from the $100,000 price increase nationwide that we're going to experience. And by the way, I buy a house every day. So I'm just going to tell you guys, 2024 around July, I'm going to have a party because I'm going to make tens of millions of dollars overnight because they're going to drop them rates. And with missing 6.5 million homes in this country, the largest disparity we've historically ever had, we've only added 10.1 million homes to our country between 2010 and 2020. We are so far behind. We've never been so slow before. So the price of real estate, everyone thinks the price is high now with the national median being 416,000. Dude, I'm telling you, they haven't seen nothing yet. It's going to get so much worse, which is so much better. So I'm kind of excited about it. Okay, cool. I am going to satisfy all your requests, and if I miss one of them, you just remind me in Q&A. Does that sound okay? Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys don't need this training. Dude, Aaron has been telling me about you guys for the longest time. Don't be afraid to show up here. I know that you're maybe tired from your blitz, but you can bring some good energy tonight. All right, here's what I want to do. Like, I do have some common basics that I want to hit, and then I will go advanced for some of you that would like that. Is there anyone here that would like to get like really advanced at some point a little bit? Like, cool. We're going to start with how do you become a multimillionaire passively? Can we do that? Yes. Here's what you need. You need 50 grand. That's it. That's what I want to show you tonight. I want to show you how to turn $50,000 into $4.3 million. And it's going to take you about 3 hours spread over 20 years. That's it. Who would like to know that trick? Okay, cool. Now, this is if you suck. I'm going to show you how I take 50 grand and turn it into $17.3 million in the same 3 hours spread over 20 years. And then if there's some of you that are like, bro, I like that, but 20 years, that's like a long time away. Then I'm like, cool. Would you like to do it in 5 years? I'll show you how to go real fast because some of us have a need for speed. Does anyone here like to go fast? Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Like you're totally 100% my people. I really love my life. I feel super, super blessed. I've been able to do like a lot of really crazy, awesome things. I spent way too much time in real estate, so I'm a little bit ashamed of this $2 billion number right here, because I was very active in the game for the first billion of it, and then the second billion became totally passive. Like I spend right now probably 30 minutes a month on real estate. And I make on average right now about $1 million an hour in real estate. Here's the crazy thing. When I worked high ticket sales, I used to calculate my hourly and I'd be like, oh man, I did it. I'm up to like 200 an hour. But there's no way you could earn like lawyer money at $500 an hour, and then I did $500 an hour. And then I remember thinking, I can't find any more careers out there where you make like $1,000 an hour. Is that even a thing? And then sales gave me that, and I made $1,000 an hour. I'm like, bro, there's no way. Could you make $5,000 an hour? And I just kept pushing the number. And I thought at some point, I remember when I got to 10 grand an hour, I'm like, this thing has got to stop. Too much pressure, there's no way. Blew past 10 grand an hour, 20 grand an hour, $100,000 an hour. I just came from a 2-day event where I spent, if I calculate my hours and I calculate what we just did and I calculate what that company's doing, I'm just telling you, it never ends. And hence you have Elon Musk's and Warren Buffett's and people that are like, they're worth $10 million an hour. So we'll talk about some of that. And I think it starts with how do you build wealth without putting a lot of time into the thing. One of the things I am going to talk to you about is business, not just real estate. Real estate is a specific business. I love real estate because it's passive. But at some point, you don't want to stay so long in the game that you ever call yourself a real estate guy or a real estate gal. And the reason why is because real estate is a double-digit ROI game. I'm going to tell you right now the number one flaw. I'm going to tell you why people are financially dismal at retirement right now. Here's the singular secret. Society has told us what to do with our money. Number one, you should put it in a 401k. Who's heard this? I know it's a little foreign for this group. You guys are like, don't really know what that is. But most people know what a 401k is. And then when you're paying all this money in taxes, your CPA says this one. Oh yeah, dude, you're going to pay a lot in taxes. You should put some money in an IRA. Don't you know on the 30-year average, you're going to earn 6% on that? Ooh. So you put your money in there and you lock all this money up and it saves you like a little bit of money, and that was smart. And then you try to pay off your house, which is the dumbest thing. A human being should never pay off your stuff, ever. And then after that, it's annuitizing your money. So all the things you're told to put money in are in single-digit ROIs. And Albert Einstein was a smart dude. We can all agree. He said the greatest financial invention of all time, compound interest. Listen, I don't want to arrogantly sound like I'm smarter than Albert, but he wasn't totally right. There was a caveat he should have said. He should have said compound interest is the greatest financial invention ever once you start earning a double-digit ROI, which means you got to break 10%. In real estate, I'm going to show you why I create so much wealth with so little time. And it has to do with this 3-letter acronym, ROI. What does it stand for?
Return on investment.
Yes, it stands for return on investment. So when you put your money in a 401k, this is your ROI. And when you put it in an IRA, this is your ROI. And if you put it in the S&P 500, the number is going down. It's no longer 10%, it's not 9%, it's now under 8%. So everything society tells us to do is single digit so we don't get the power of compound interest. The reason why I was retired at 26 years old is because of what I'm about to show you right now. Oh, I like to do fun things. I like violence. I like blood. I like blowing things up. I like to go fast. I like to have fun. Thought I'd get that out of the way. Okay, so here are some things that I think you should all know. Because y'all know here how to make some pretty good money. If you're making great money, amazing money, or you're on your way to figuring it out, raise your hand. Hello?
Yep. Yes.
Isn't this like some of the most elite sales task force on the planet? Yes? Okay, so here's the thing. If you were to put your money in a 401k, an IRA, or the stock market, you dump your 50K in there and it's going to earn you 6%. And the question is, wow, how does that compound with time? Over 20 years, it triples. So without you doing anything, 50K grows into $160,000. Is anyone impressed? Not impressed. Yes. Yes. Now, when I put my money in real estate, I never touch a deal unless I earn this ROI. What is the number? 25. And it's like, well, Kris, I get it. 25% is 4 times bigger than 6%. So what does that do over the same 20 years? What does it turn into? $4.3 million. It's 27 times more money. It's a 27 times greater return. But my real estate, if you want to go faster, has to do better than that. So I invest, and I'm going to share with you my markets. There's out of 324 markets in the United States, I only invest in 4 markets. Do you know why I only invest in 4?
Because they're the best.
Because I'm a snob. And it's because they're the best. And we're going to define best as having the highest what? ROI. The highest ROI. So based on my 20-year track record in the game of real estate, this is what I average. So that same $50,000 earning 34%, guess what that turns into over 20 years? $17.4 million. So let me ask you a question. What if you got so good at your gig that every year you had $50,000 to drop in? Let's just say you did that for 20 years. I know that's not realistic, because you're going to move on eventually, but let's just mathematically say that every year for the next 20 years, you're going to set 50K aside, earning 34%. That means 20 years from now, how much money are you cashing in that year? How much? 17 million. What about the next year? 17 million. What about the next year? 17 million. So the reason why I got rich real fast is not real estate. I learned how to create predictable returns year over year over year. Does that make sense? I get better at the game, and that ROI number is only ever increasing. Do you know what I think that number is going to be by the end of 2024?
47. 65. 69.
I like the number, but a little higher. Between 90 and 120%. Yeah. How do I know that? Because that's what I did for 2 years during the pandemic. And I think we're about to hit a repeat. So let me share with you an example what that looks like. Here's a property without going through the craziness. It's built in 2017, relatively new, just under 1,500 square feet, American Dream 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And this property is in one of my top 4 markets. This one is in Florida. What is the annual ROI? 32%. And my numbers always perform right around 20% higher than what I'm showing, because all of my assumptions and numbers have been dogged 20%. So this is the pro forma that I'm going to use to decide whether I'm going to buy a property. If this number is over 25%, what am I going to do every time? I'm going to freaking buy it. Every single time. Here's another one, 37%. You're going to see an interesting pattern here. Built in 2020, 1,600 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. I wonder if the next one looks that way. Yeah, 2020, 1,500 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And what's the ROI on this one? 41. If it's over 25, what am I going to do? Yeah, and if I'm averaging 34, then $50,000, if that's all I ever put in one time, and I just snooze for 20 years, I'm going to wake up to how much money? $17+ million. Would any of you in this room like to wake up in 20 years to $17 million? Dude, people that rob banks couldn't do that well. This stuff is pretty easy. That's unfair. I got really good at this, and I got really bored after a decade and just learned how to do this like clockwork right now. So you all know the truth, right? 90% of all millionaires make it in what? Real estate. They make it in real estate. The first person to say that was who?
Realtor.
Even before Warren Buffett, and a realtor would lie. It was the original robber baron that came out of the Great Depression. Who are we talking about? Rockefeller, right? So this is just as true today. The reason why one of my mistakes was spending too much time in real estate and graduating to business is because 90% of all millionaires make their money in real estate, but 100% of all billionaires make their money in what? Private equity. There are, right now on the planet, 3,100 and something billionaires. And of them, 178 made their money in real estate. So it's not entirely true. But it's about 95% that make it outside of real estate in business. So every year I launch 10 companies that have $1 billion plus potential. Did that last year, doing that this year, and I'm going to do that for the next 8 years. Because if I launch 10 companies with $1 billion plus potential for a decade, how many companies is that? That's 100 companies. And so many of them are going to fail. Like probably a third of them are going to fail. And a third of them are going to do okay. But if I can get 10, 20, or 30% of them to hit their target, I think that's going to be kind of cool. So we won't talk about some of that stuff tonight. I will tell you that I have a very, very elite private investors club. And that's where my top 5%ers and 1%ers come and hang with me, is I show them a system of how you can lose 70% of the time and make money hand over fist. That game is called asymmetric upside. And that's learning how to put your money very carefully in opportunities with really big upside. That's some of the cool advanced stuff. Okay, so let me just get a couple things out of the way. Right now, stocks and crypto, 100% in a recession. True or false? Okay, when we take a look at the stock market, when we take a look at 401ks, IRAs, definitely in a recession. True or false? Real estate, however, is real estate in a recession? Did you know that the national median went up $5,000 this year, even though there's almost no movement in the real estate market? Interest rates are keeping the market from moving. You'll see the correlation. Once rates drop, what's going to happen to the price of real estate? It's going to explode. It's going to explode. So right now, there's definitely 1,000,000% not going to be a real estate crash. We're going to experience the opposite. I have a guess on when the crash is going to come, but that is not for a decade. And so this next decade, I'm going to go nuts in real estate. I hope you'll leave here tonight wanting to do the same. And then we know how to time market crashes. You can't do that in the stock market, but in real estate, you can do it all day long. You want to know how to time a real estate crash? Yeah. It's a local markets inventory. When nationwide, when we have less than a demand for 500,000 homes, right now it's 6.5 million, when we have a demand for less than 500,000, you're going to see Kris Krohn do something really weird with all his real estate. What's he going to do? I'm going to sell it. And then it's going to sit here for a minute. And guess what the market will do? It's going to crash. And then when it crashes, guess what I'm going to do with all of my winnings? I'm just going to buy everything. Counter-cyclically, it's such a brain dead. Guys, it's such a simple game to play. It's literally like, I don't want to say stealing candy from a baby, but it's kind of what it is. Right now, if you want to take a look at the next decade, here's something freaky. Have you guys heard about the evil organization called the World Economic Forum? Do you guys know what I mean by evil? Like, they're the ones that have conversations like, we need a pandemic so that we can invent vaccines so that we can start killing off Thanos style lots of people because there's not enough resources on the planet. You guys hear some of those conspiracy stuff? Well, that same organization, they're like, human beings are stupid. They're cattle. We should treat them like cattle. They shouldn't own anything. Over the next decade, they're currently pouring $54 billion into single family homes. And within a decade, of the 70% of real estate homes that Americans own, that number will drop to 60. Corporations will own 10% of the single family market. Do you know why they're getting in that space? Dude, put me up against Grant Cardone any day of the week. Take his multifamily, you compare it to my single family, and guess who has bigger ROIs? I smoke them all day long. Do you know why guys like him don't play in single family? And I'm the only crazy mother to do that? It's because it's very hard to scale. That's why they get into multifamily, and they cut their ROIs down dramatically. And so I looked at that and I'm like, well, someday when you want to make yourself the most unique version of yourself, here's how you do it. You niche down. Do you guys know what niche down means? It means you play in an ocean so blue, there's no red, there's no blood, there's no sharks, there's zero competition. And I remember when I started making all this money in real estate, I was like, shoot, I guess it's time to scale up into multifamily. I kept looking at the numbers. I'm like, 18% ROI, 19% ROI. This makes me sick. And I said, but Kris, nobody is scaling single family. I said, fine, we'll do it. It was hard to figure out. But once we did, I'm so glad we did. Because becoming wealthy is really a game of 3 letters. What are those letters? It's a game of ROI. Does that make sense? Is this useful information, by the way? Yeah. Okay, cool, awesome. By the way, inflation is real. It's eroding all your money. The worst thing you can do is keep money in the what? 401ks and IRAs are banks. Keeping your money in a bank is really, really not smart. And so what I want to do tonight is I want to play a game with you. It's the game I played when I was in college. I was a BYU student, and I already found out that I was too dumb to become a doctor. Can I just tell you my story briefly real quick? Yeah. Can I do that? Yeah. So I come off of my 2-year mission in Germany. 3rd day of college, I meet my wife, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the one. Within a week, I'm like, I want to marry her. And it's like, okay, I'm not from Utah. I can't be a Provo story. So 10 months later, we got married. Real slow for this part of the world, right? When we got married, It's really weird. My wife and I, we come from very opposite backgrounds. Financially, my dad is a German immigrant, marries my mom. They got 9 kids, literal tons of lack of self-control in the baby-making world, and financially just as bad. My parents were always fighting about money. They were always fighting about debt. It was always this, I was young, I didn't understand these big words, but it was always this conversation like, why are you racking up the credit cards on buying these things in catalogs and on TV? And we need to now refinance the house to consolidate and pay off our credit cards. And I'm so mad at you. And that was the conversation I was raised with. When I met my wife, she was raised in a very different household. Their philosophy was, we have money because we don't spend it. And they had set aside a lot more money in average than most people, but they were the most frugal human beings on the planet. And there are 2 money disorders. There are the violent spenders, and then there's the frugal penny pincher. And between the two, do you know who's happy? Do you know who's happier in life? Is it the penny pincher or is it the violent spender? The spender's a happier human being. They always live check to check. They make really great memories, but they run out because they're not planners and they don't have money in the end. But these penny pincher tightwads have sticks shoved so high in the dark recesses of the human body. They can't spend money on anything for the life of them. So I kid you not, I shouldn't tell all this, but I'm like, I think the second year married to my wife, and their parents flew us out to go do a family vacation where they had a timeshare in Florida, and they just didn't spend money on anything. And we're going around Epcot. And Florida, you get the monsoon season, and we were in Chinatown, and the rains came, and we ducked in totally soaked. And they always have 3 restaurants in each country in Epcot. They've got the cheap one, the mid-grade, and the expensive one. And we ducked into the expensive sit-down. And it was soaking, and it was going to go on for a while, so we sit down for a nice meal. And that year, her father-in-law had made over $500,000. But they didn't spend money. And the prices on the menu were like between $20 and $35 a dish. Big money, right? And I'm watching my mother-in-law turn to Matthew, and she starts kicking him. Matthew, look at these prices. And like, for all 9 of us, she wanted to order like 4 meals. And that's what went down. And everyone fought for the food. Everyone left hungry. And I was just like, okay, I definitely don't want to be like my parents, but I definitely don't want to be like your parents. The pendulum that swung here and swung there, there's a game in the middle where instead of having all the nice things and never having a nice thing, you know what this middle is called? This is the best advice that I can give you tonight. It's called becoming an investor. And an investor does not prioritize their house, their vehicle, or their nice stuff. What they do first is they do everything in the reverse order. First, every penny goes towards investing. Because investments are a machine. And all of a sudden the machine kicks something out of the ATM. Oh, I'm tempted, I want to buy something real nice. Don't. You're going to put it back in the machine. Well, that's weird, it's moving faster, there's twice as much money in there. And I also had a good summer, so I just saved up a bunch more money. Let's dump it into the machine. Oh my gosh, this is weird. This thing's starting to spin off money left and right. Keep feeding the machine over and over again. The money's flying around everywhere. Now go buy all the nice things in life that you want. My wife and I were building a 28,000 square foot addition onto our home right now. That's probably a little... Trust me, I have a great imagination.
Can I ask what it's for?
Sure, you can ask what it's for.
Hey, tell him, Kris.
All right, so I'll tell you, right? So 28,000 square feet, what are you gonna do? Well, so well, we're adding 14-car garage because guess what the money machine is doing? I'm future-proofing. That's what I told myself. But the house has an office as big as this room, 2 stories, with a secret lair 14 feet underground that nobody knows about, except for you. Has a racquetball court. It has game rooms, arcades. It's got my wife's beautiful crystal Zen room. It has a 3,000 square foot mezzanine garden rooftop. It has a 3,200 square foot gym. because I'm really big on the health longevity thing, and that, like, so I have this whole playground of where I do my stuff. It's got, there's only 2 companies on the world that do this thing called a retractable pool. Does anyone know what that is? Push the button and the pool disappears. We're putting in, I own one of those 2 companies, and we're putting in this monster pool that when it is up, you do not know there's a pool there. Like, and so it's this monster, it's like the room is twice as big as this and the whole ceiling is glass. Anyway, it's a really kind of sweet creation. And we're adding that on our house, and so altogether it'll be around 40,000 square feet. I want to make this point. And it's possible that I drove the tank here with a 50 caliber Modus strapped to the back of my turret if you saw that coming in. But here's the lesson. Are you ready? You ready for the lesson? I prioritized what first? Investing for 5 years before I ever owned a single luxury anything. And because of that priority, guess what? Yes. Yeah. I have 2 private jets, working on a helicopter right now. And if you really want to know what the house is, most people won't get it. The house is a time machine. Jets are time machines. Helicopters are time machines. I should have helicoptered here. It would have saved me 50 minutes. And 50 minutes to most people doesn't sound like a big deal, but do you know how many memories Kris Krohn can make in 50 minutes? That's a big deal. It's huge. My world revolves around time, not money. And it also has a 3,500 square foot full spa. So everything that I do, from cold plunging and I've got my red light sauna therapy, and I've got my body work room, and I've got float spa, and I've got deluge sauna. Like, everything I'm putting in there, the entire house is built around your question, ma'am, of what do you do? What's your morning routine? That house is my routine. So I'm either on a jet going somewhere as quickly as possible to go create an amazing experience, or I'm at my home freaking living in a fun land, creating my own experience, owning my 1,440 minutes a day. Money buys options. And the more money you have, the more options in life you have. And so my whole life is just built around every option in life that I love. Including if any of you want to come play racquetball with me and get your ass whooped. Or I'll get mine whooped and I'll learn and grow and we'll have fun. Yeah, you accepting. I love it. Okay, so, man, I tangented so hard. I think it was at the part where my wife and I were poor, right? Shoot. All right, so my wife and I sold her on this idea that I want to be a doctor. Super long story made short. I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to have enough money to take care of my parents, and I wanted enough money to take care of my family. And I just heard that when you go to college, that the most money you can make with a degree is probably being a doctor. Has anyone else ever heard that? So that was my game plan. Till I came back from my mission, I started taking organic chemistry, and it killed me. I got a C, and my advisor said, bro, like, you ain't getting in. So I retook it, got a tutor, and I got a C-. And then I was like, I hate chemistry, and none of this comes natural to me, so I'm out. And that's when I discovered sales. So, but I also discovered, if I can I tell you about the worst day of my life ever?
Yes.
Because it's actually, it's what makes all of this. Does everyone ever understand like what motivates people? You got to have people in your world that are like, dude, how come you're so motivated to do what you do to make the money that you make? Like, do you guys ever get questioned about your motivation by other buddies and friends that don't get it? All right, so this was my moment. I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor. And I spent 4 months going to college that semester just thinking, what a waste of money, what a waste of my life, and I can't drop out because my mother-in-law will kill me. And so I thought, okay, I guess I just got to like stick with it. I'm doing the full-time like student thing, but I'm also a full-time, like I got this full-time sales job. And I didn't have any time with my wife. So I got to the point where I didn't like my life at all. Like I felt pretty miserable. I was not a happy human being. I was not enjoying my sales career at that time because I was the first year on the job and I sucked at it. And I remember one day I'd been up at like 5 a.m., got to school at 6, got done by 11. I was racing to get to my job late. Was going to be like dialing till 8 p.m. that night. And I just, you guys knock doors. For me, it's just like robo-dialing, trying to get people on the phones. And I just remember after an hour of this, I'm like, dude, I am so mentally shot. I had not built, by the way, I didn't have a routine for building mental fortitude in my life. I didn't have any of that good positive mental attitude. Hadn't yet spent millions of dollars on mentors to teach me how to think different and own my mind and become a freaking beast. I had none of that. So I decided, that's it. I'm just going to take an early lunch. I want to go home and see my wife. I don't see her almost any time anyway. And I went home, and I remember pulling up to our, the cheapest basement apartment in Provo. It was like a $400 a month hole in the ground, single bedroom. Pulled up in my 1993 Honda Civic with 293,000 miles, but had a faded red spoiler on it. Thought it was so cool. The car was owned by a black man before I bought it from him. I'm like, that's the only black guy in all of Utah. This car is cool. Pulled up, was about to walk in and knock on the basement apartment door, and I got this really dark, heavy feeling inside like something is very wrong. I don't know, can any of you relate to the feeling of energy, like positive and negative, but sometimes feeling like something like really wrong energy? Okay, I felt like something on the other side of this door is very wrong. I finally got the courage, knocked on the door, my wife opened it. She stepped back into the hallway. There was a single can light over her head. And I could see clearly that she had been crying because her cheeks were stained with tears and active tears. And I thought, oh my gosh, her dad died. Like someone important died. And so after reverencing the moment, I finally said, hey, Glenn, what's wrong? She said, Kris, tuition is due in 3 weeks, and we don't have money for it. And I'm like, that can't be why you're crying. I didn't say that out loud, but that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I had really only known this woman a little over a year, so I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't look like time of the month tears. Then she spoke up and she said, Kris, we have rent due in 5 days, and we've already spent our paycheck. And I was like, oh, that's definitely a problem. I was like, shoot, what do? Does someone come and kick us out and take our belongings and throw them on the grass or something? But before I could speak, I found out why she was crying. She said, I walked 2 blocks down to Smith's, and I was buying our typical 5 days worth of grocery rations. And guys, I'm talking about maybe 20 bucks. We were living on ramen and cheap crap. And she said, I wrote a check at the checkout station and it didn't go through, it bounced. She had never experienced that before. I had never experienced that before. And when she left, she was so embarrassed and humiliated. She left the groceries and ran out of the store. And she ran home and she hadn't stopped crying because her cupboards were empty. She was hungry and we had no money. And when I realized that, there was a part of me that broke, that just said, oh my gosh, I am the worst husband. I am the worst friend. I have completely failed this woman that I promised to provide for her. And I thought very little of myself in that moment, but I also did something else that was really, I've come to learn is quite strange. Most people, when they experience a failure, will lean into it, into a failure complex. They'll create notions of inferiority, and they'll tell themselves that they can't do it, and that they're not good enough. In that moment, something broke, because I remembered all of my parents fighting growing up, and I got pissed. I got angry, and I said, never again. I will do whatever it takes to never feel this way again. And 4.5 years later, I owned 25 properties, had a $12,000 a month residual income, had just graduated college. I quit my job and never had a job ever again. And I was done because of that moment. So I unlocked some pretty cool motivation, but it was motivation out of fear and guilt and anger, and later had to become a game of love. Becoming wealthy is actually a really easy game. You guys are doing the hard stuff right now. You've found the right opportunity. Raise your hand if you know you found the right opportunity. You have found the right opportunity, and right now you're reaping your rewards, and if your year wasn't as good as you want, stick with it. I'm telling you, please listen to me. If you didn't have the year that you wanted, and your managers will keep you on, You fight for this opportunity and you force yourself to learn how to overcome objections. You learn how to talk smoother. You become more charismatic. You become a more attractive personality, and you figure that out, because I need you to understand, when you finally crack the code and make 100 grand and then 200 grand and $500,000, you have something that most don't ever get a chance at. And that's how you feed as quickly as possible the investment machine. Just don't make the mistake of compromising on buying crap. This is not the time in your life to buy crap. This is the time to invest every red cent into your future. Because, listen, Aaron's going to hate it when I say this, but I'm just going to keep it real. I'm going to say it. Aaron, don't hate me, okay? He's never going to invite me back. Guys, do you really want to be here in 20 years? No. Like, I don't want to sound rude. It's an insane opportunity. I wouldn't want to disparage it, but like, be for real. How many of you know what you're doing is hard? Yes or yes? Yes. You're doing hard stuff. Really, in 20 years, you want to be blitzing? Bruh. Come on. Here's the real game plan. Aaron, plug your ears. Here's the real game plan.
Kris, it's fun.
I know it's fun.
And we like it.
Take these two out of the room real quick. I want you to listen. Here's the game plan. Next year, you double your income. And the year after, you double your income, and for the next 5 years, the money that you make in excess beyond your needs, you keep your lifestyle low. I want you to be that fool. When I was making $250,000 a year, I was still spending less than $30,000 a year. I want you to be that fool that is so smart with their money that instead of like, I don't know, I think maybe half of it should go towards a lifestyle. I want you to be the fool that puts everything in the machine. Because in 5 years from now, if you're doubling your income every year and you put every leftover piece in the machine, you can freaking buy any life that you want. I think it would actually be a great credit to Aaron, to you, to the leaders here, that if you were so successful that eventually you left the opportunity in gratitude for the opportunity they gave you, but because you learned to elevate yourself above and beyond, I promise you, I actually know their hearts. They're going to be so proud. They're going to wear that as a badge of honor. And they're going to be thinking about not just the great incomes that they help provide for you and your families. They're going to be proud of the millionaires they created. They're going to be proud. Why do you think they're doing this anyway? Why do you think they have Kris Krohn here? They don't have to do this. They're doing this because they see a future in you so much bigger than even the one they're building for themselves. You owe it that if you're going to work this hard, to be so smart with your money that you don't blow it. Now, unfortunately, most people in this industry won't take that advice. So 10 years from now, you're still going to be hustling. I don't have to hustle. When I do hustle, you guys think I work 80 hours a week? You guys think I'm blitzing? No, we'll talk a little bit about my lifestyle in a little bit. 4 years ago, I had a friend, one of my very, very best friends. He was one of the top 100 YouTubers in the world. He was in St. George. He was paragliding, and he caught a bad bit of wind. He got too close to the mountain, caught a cool pocket. His parachute collapsed. He fell hundreds of feet to his death. And him being my best friend and leaving his 4 boys behind with his beautiful wife caused me to pause and just say, Kris, why have you not designed your most perfect life when you have all the money? What permission do you yet need? And I pulled out a piece of paper and I said, Kris, build your perfect life. And I'll tell you what I put out. I wake up at 4 a.m. and I invest in me for 5 hours. For 5 hours, the way I work out my body, my mind, my spirit, I'm going to turn myself into the biggest, freakish, hulkish beast of a human being that I possibly can, with 5 hours invested in me every morning. And then when I work, it's going to look like this. On Monday, I'm going to shoot some videos. On Tuesday and Thursday, I'm going to work from home. On Wednesday, I'm going to give that whole day to my wife. Friday, I'm going to give that whole day to my kids. Saturday, I'm going to give that whole day to me. And Sunday, I'm going to give that whole day to God. And for the next years, I lived that life, hardly changing anything, because it felt like perfect balance. If I work less than 20 hours a week, I'm not creating enough. If I work more than 30 hours a week, I get cranky. I found my mojo. I found what lights me up. I found what fulfills my purpose. I found out how to be the most balanced version of me, where my body always gets everything that it needs, my marriage gets what it needs, my kids get what it needs, and I get what I need, God gets what he needs. We just got perfect balance going on. But what made all that possible was having 5 years where all of the excess went into the what? It went into the machine. I hope you walk away tonight with a commitment, not just to freaking kill it next year. I hope you walk away with the commitment to put all of those hard-earned winnings into a machine so that 5 years from now, you have a completely different set of options. Because then you'll know what real freedom is. Real freedom is not to have time. Hobos have time. And it's not to be rich and have money and no time. Real freedom is when you can do whatever you want because you're no longer obligated to anything. That's freedom. And I wish that everyone on this planet had a chance to taste it. Because I've been living as a free man for 16 years. And I feel like I've lived 100 lives. Like, it would be inappropriate to sit here and tell you all the cool stuff I'm doing in my life, folks. But my life is insane. Trent, my life is pretty insane, isn't it? My life is pretty insane. But here's the good news. Every one of you can have your version of whatever that is. I've traveled the world, right? I've had a chance to do so many epic, amazing things. You can ask me, hey, what about this? Have you done that? More than likely, I'm going to say, yep. And believe it or not, you don't run out of cool stuff to do. How many of you are getting a takeaway message here about building your machine? What you do during the daylight hours on those blitzes, what you're doing is you're making the money. And it is pointless if you don't have a machine to pump it into. That's the other half of the equation. And I want you to focus on your career. So I believe that you should pick something that is passive. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you. I've revealed that I'm an idiot in chemistry. I was too dumb to become a doctor. But I'll tell you that there is one area of genius that I think I really do well in, and that's statistics. I really like math. And I know that's sick and twisted for some of you, but I also know that a lot of salespeople like math too. How many of you like math? Yeah, you get good at calculating those Watson percentages, don't you? I'm not confused. So I took a stats class, a Weeder class. I'm like, shoot, I freaking flunked out of the last Weeder class. Stats, I thought I wanted an MBA. That's a Weeder class. 200 kids, day one. The professor gets up, pontificates, and says, hey, I'm here to make sure that I fail 90% of you. We're going to grade on the curve. First time in my life, I never did my homework. I would skip class, and when I took the final, they based the entire curve on me. I got 117%. And it turns out that I like numbers not a little. And this ended up being useful for what I'm sharing with you now, because when I was in college at BYU, I met 3 different people that had each made over $10 million in real estate. And these were my mentors, and I was learning from them. And we got in arguments all the time. Because I said, you're saying sue is subject to, and you're saying do a flip, and you're saying this multifamily, and you're like, which one's best? And none of them could answer which was best. And I said, that's it. I'm going to find the answer to which investment is best. And they said, you'll never find it. I said, what do you mean? They said, you can't find it. It's subjective. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, you'd have to build an algorithm based on your preferences. I said, fine. I will find out my preferences. They said, okay, smarty pants. What are your preferences? I said, here's my wish list. I want the best investment to require the least time. I want it to require the least of my energy. I want it to be the easiest lift. I don't want it to be hard. I want it to be easy. I want it to be the most profitable. I want it to work in up and down markets, and I want it to provide a service to humanity. That's my preference. I dumped 30 real estate strategies into that container based on that preference. And in the algorithm, only one strategy emerged that would produce the highest ROI with the least time, least effort, least risk, and make the most money working up and down markets. Any of you want to know what it is? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You've been staring at it. This is based on thousands of deals, and here's what it is. If you buy single-family homes, and you buy them for a 5 to 7 year hold on a short term, if you purchase them below the median, and if you produce a minimum of a 25% ROI, you will experience the greatest gains real estate has to offer while being entirely passive.
Yeah, gains.
All right. Yes?
Where are you getting the information to know that it, I mean, obviously you know it now, but where did you learn to be able to know where the ROI would come from? How do you get that percentage?
I'm gonna see, that's a super advanced question. That's a 2-hour ninja. I'm gonna see if I can get close to it, but I can give you some resources after this to go further. Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So let me keep it basic first. First of all, how did I get 25 properties that made me financially free at the age of 26? Here's what I did. I sucked at sales. It took me 14 months. I saved up $5,000 in savings. I didn't have $50,000 after a great summer. I didn't have $250,000. I didn't have that. It took me 14 months to save up $5,000, and I used that to house hack and put 3.5% down payment on a tiny little bungalow, crappy little thing in Provo with a basement apartment that went a mortgage. Lived for free. Step one, eliminate biggest expense. 12 months later, got a home equity line on the property, pulled out $20,000, used it as a down payment on my second property. I did not buy the second house. The house bought the next house because I knew how to buy it right. My second house bought my third house. So $3,300 was all I needed to buy my first 3 homes. And I want to tell you something really weird happened when I bought my first house. Remember my wife's parents? They were like, my father-in-law was super judgmental. He's like, what are you doing, bro? He didn't say it like that. Like, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm buying a house. He's like, you're an undeclared major. You don't know what you want to do with your life, and you just bought a house in a college town. I didn't buy my first house, game of comparison, until I was 29 years old and graduated with a master's in business. I said, well, this is what I'm doing. He thought I was crazy. Then a year later, I bought my second house, and he's like, are you guys getting divorced? It's like, no, we think that 2 houses is better than 1. Totally didn't understand. Bought my third house, and he's like, did you get a dog? Like, could not figure out. He just wrote me off. He thought I was totally crazy. But there's something magical about the number 3. If any of you, I'll tell you that I have people all over the world that partner with me, and I do all their investing for them. And so what's interesting is my father-in-law thought I was really dumb on my first deal. Second, he thought I was insane on my third. But then one day he called me up. He had just finished his Caribbean anniversary trip with his wife. And he called me up from the East Coast where he lived, and he said, Kris, I just finished my anniversary honeymoon trip with my wife, and I had a dream about you. And I said, that makes me feel really creepy, Matt. Not gonna lie. And he said, I dreamt that we bought real estate together. And I'm like, I'm thinking, like, you the one that has been criticizing me? Like a dream about buying real estate? And he said, just go with me. What are you doing right now? I said, well, I bought these homes. And he pulled out, I could hear pen and paper, and he's like, tell me about the homes. What'd you buy it for? What's it worth? What are you renting it for? And he started crunching some numbers. And then after I told him about my 3 homes, he said, well, what are you doing next? I said, it's really weird. I found the 4th house that I want to do, but it's too early to access equity from my 3 homes, so I guess I can't buy it. And you know what he said? This was like the luckiest moment of my life. He said, I'll give you the money, you do the work, we'll split it 50-50. I was so excited, but I couldn't say that. I was like, that's an interesting notion. Took his money, did the deal. This is my father-in-law. We started buying a bunch of homes. I got to the point where we had bought 10 homes, and I'm in my senior year at college, and my goal was 25 homes and a BMW that I wanted to drive. And I remember just thinking, man, I'm in my last year of college, and I'm behind but kind of ahead. I mean, 10 homes. As a college kid, how many of you think that's kind of cool? Yeah. That was kind of cool. But my father-in-law was slowing down. And I was like, I got lucky. I have a father-in-law that had some money that wanted to invest in me. And I started thinking, man, I wish I had more father-in-laws. I thought of 4 people that had been tracking my success that were like father-in-law-ish. They all were in their 50s. They all had great careers. One was an executive, one was a dentist, yada, yada. So I called all 4 and I said, can I take you out to lunch and tell you what I've been doing in real estate? Because you've been nosy and you've been asking. So I went to lunch with all 4 of them, and all 4 of them looked at my numbers, looked at my portfolio, and they're like, dude, we'll partner with you. We'll give you the money and you do the work. And I started buying a house every single month. By the time I graduated, I had 25 properties. And those properties each maybe about $500 a month. And my partners were happy. And like then next year I bought 50 homes, and I bought 100 homes, and then that was over 6,000 homes ago. Basically just built a whole machine around this notion and then perfected the machine. So I'm sharing that with you because that's a little bit, sorry, I picked up a little cough earlier today from yelling. I did an event on Monday and Tuesday and I was screaming a lot. But basically those 25 homes ended up producing that 6-figure residual income for me, shifted and changed everything for me. And while all my buddies were graduating college to get jobs, I quit my job. And this was a very special moment that I want you to hear. I was driving, woke up that morning in my 10,000 square foot custom built home that I just moved into. And I went down to turn to my wife and I said, hey, is today the day? And she said, Kris, you could have had this day anytime in the last 2 years. Sure. Are you ready? I said, no, I'm ready. And after breakfast, I got in my 6 Series BMW convertible. It's like the second most expensive one that they made. And I drove to work for the last time. And I sat down face to face with Aaron Peterson, which is my version for you of probably who a little bit Aaron, what Aaron is to you. And I said, Aaron, this has been the most amazing 5-year journey with this company. You guys gave me an opportunity to earn really great money. I got to invest. I got to learn about investing from the company, really kind of like you guys are doing. And I said, it's been an amazing ride and I'm done. And we shook hands and we hugged and we've stayed really great friends since. But that was a really beautiful day for me because the opportunity you guys have here, this is your ticket. You have your ticket right now. You just got to lean in and figure out how to grow the snot out of it. But if you can use this opportunity, you're at the right age, you're at the right time in your life, you got the right opportunity, you've got the right opportunity. I mean, you've got it right in front of you. And if you will crush it and pour all that money into your machine, 5 years from now, you write your own ticket. You want to be here for 10 more years just because you're killing it? Do that. But be smart with your money, be smart with your investments, and they will set you free. Deal?
Deal.
Cool. I'm going to cruise through some of this right now. I have this document that I'll give you guys access to at the end of this. I have a couple members of my team here, don't I? Who do we got here? Christopher and Nate, welcome, guys. Glad to have you guys here. We've got Murph as well. At the end of this, if there's anyone that's interested in learning about what I do and my automated investment system, I'll give you guys a QR code. It'll give you access to this document to kind of show you what I've done on my last several thousand deals. I'm a big fan of numbers and actuaries, so I publish them. And I publish everything. I've got a couple members of my team here that you can connect with if you guys have any additional questions or want to kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive. So here we go. Here's what all this means for you. If you're looking for the best returns, start in real estate. Real estate is where you go for double digit, and double digit will make you millions of dollars. At some point, you're going to graduate and do what's called triple digit and quadruple digit investing. I invest in things now that can make me 500% of my money and 5,000% of my money. But all that comes after you have a foundation. And I know what I just said sounds crazy to so many people. They're like, dude, that sounds like get rich quick. I'm like, yes, I actually really only touch things that you can get rich quick with. I don't believe in 401ks and IRAs. I think I made that really clear. I don't believe in slow. You know what the problem is with a 40-year game plan with compounding single digits? If you mess up and miscalculate, you don't have another lifetime to correct it. You're screwed. So I would rather have all my money made in 5 years or 10 years so that I have time to screw up and learn and maybe go at it again. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I go hard, I go fast. But there's a strategy so that it's smart and it's not all your eggs in one basket, which is the number one mistake you in this room typically make. When you make a lot of money, you get really excited about an opportunity that you think is the moonshot and you dump all your stuff in it. And you're so stupid. I love you so much. You're not supposed to do that. You put like 10% or maybe 15% max, probably just 10% into that thing. And the more risky it is, you put less in. You put 5%. I love you guys, but I know you really well too. I know you. So what I want to do is I want to just take you through how I invest with people, and I want to show you really how I these investments. I want to show you where I invest them, and I also want to give you just a little sneak peek on what happens when people invest with me, because for the last 20 years, I have over 1,000 partners all over the world And I love buying real estate, and I love building multi-million-dollar portfolios for people. Can I do that? Yeah. Is that okay? All right, let me show you what it looks like. Let me show you, first of all, the 4 markets out of 324 that I'm buying in. This is Central Florida. I'm going to invite you to pull out your cameras and take a screenshot or screenshot the screen, because I don't feel tonight like going really deep on this. I'm just going to tell you, Florida is putting billions of dollars into certain zip codes. That represents the path of progress. 500,000 people left California last year, 500,000 left New York. Guess where they're going? Florida. So I go into the districts that get me the highest ROIs. And we'll talk about infrastructure, and we're putting billions of dollars in, $7 billion towards blah, blah, blah. That all matters to me. What I'm talking about right now is the boring stuff. It's called macroeconomics. What's it called? Macroeconomics means stop looking for a house, stop looking for a good deal. You got to start by finding the best market. If you find the best market, then you don't look for a good deal. You find the best market, then you find the path of progress, the trend, where the money is going, and then you start looking for good deals. Does that make sense? Most people do it kind of backwards. Florida, more articles, snap pictures, $20 billion surplus budget, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's moving here. Florida's grand. You guys don't understand. What I'm showing you is basically, there's like 10 major macros that I track that all come down to one thing: supply and demand. So here's the really big picture. 400,000 people moved to Florida this year, but we only have houses for half of them. What must happen to the price of real estate when there's a demand for more houses than you have? It goes up. But remember, why don't I buy in San Diego? Because those house prices, the median price is $890,000. It already did this. They were complaining in the 1970s when they're like, shoot, the median home price here in Berkeley, California is $23,000. They panicked a decade later in the 80s when it went up to $80,000. They're like, this is unsustainable. We'll never be able to support this. Today, it's almost $900,000. Guys, the price of real estate compared to the ascension of income is a 4-to-1, which means real estate is going up 4 times faster than people's income. Real estate, baby making, sex, population, like this is what's driving, made you smile. I said sex. No, it's what, like, you guys understand during a recession, do you guys know why out of 3 out of 5 recessions that real estate doesn't go down? It's because when you have a recession, does population disappear? No, people lose their jobs, they have extra time on their hands, they make more babies. Real estate goes up in most recessions. Do you understand that? Supply and demand. Sex. That's what we're talking about. All right. That's happening in Florida. Okay. Wealthy Americans are flocking there. Here's a deal with a 30% ROI. The gentleman in the back in the white hat, I would love to geek out with you on this, and our time will come. But right now, I'm just going to point a little picture here and say, that's what I'm using to decide to buy this house. My second market is Oklahoma. And snap your pictures. I'm not going to go through this. Blah, 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 Oklahoma, one of the fastest growing, multi-billion-dollar corporations are moving there. It's the intersection of the West. La, 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 la. Take your pictures. I'll get out of the way. Here we go. 29.8%. Is that above 25? Yes. So what am I going to do?
Buy, baby.
Why do I buy all my houses in 4 markets? Because I am mean. Because I'm going to hold them for how many years?
5 to 7.
And that means I need a property manager, yes? Yep. So can I tell you a dirty little secret?
Yes.
Here's a dirty little secret. When you buy a house out of state, you are meaningless to the property manager. And the bigger the property manager, the more meaningless you are. So you have 3 different types of property managers: mom and pops, mid-grade, and big time. Mom and pop shops, we have 32 houses. You buy a house with them, they don't know what they're doing, you're stuck in their learning curve, and you're just one client. You're 10% of gross rents. You mean $150 a month to them. Trust me, $150 does not buy loyalty. If you go to the big guy that has 2,900 properties, do you think that your $150 matters amongst their portfolio? No. So I do something real cruel. I find the mid-sized company that is managing 400 homes, and I say, hey, I'd like to bring you some homes. And they're like, cool, it's 10%. I'm like, no, 6. And they're like, bro, I am not managing your homes for 6%. I said, what if I give you 500 of them? And all of a sudden, I'm the most important client on the planet to them. But the technical truth is that I have all my houses with my partners, and that's how I make my partners significant in the management of real estate. And it's very mean, because when they do something I don't like, I just say, that's okay. I'll take my 500 homes somewhere else. Wait.
Where are you finding these interest rates?
Investment grade, number of different banks that I work with. Yes. Northwest Arkansas, snap a picture. I'm in the way. These are the reasons why I am here. Lots going on. Am I going to buy this house?
Yes.
You guys are so smart. You're already professionals. Last market, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee. This is my fourth and final market. Snap a picture. A lot of reasons. I'm not going to share all of them. Am I going to buy this house?
Yes.
Are we all starting to see a pattern here? Yes. Let me tell you guys how partnering works, and then we're going to open up for some Q&A. Can we do that?
Yes.
Are we doing okay so far? Woo! Okay, cool. By the way, do you guys want to know, there's a lot of shady stuff out there, isn't there? I mean, let's be honest. There's some shady garbage out there, true or false? True. Do you always want to know, do you want to know my favorite litmus test on how to know whether a company's product is actually really good? Talk to the people that work there and ask if they consume the product. And you know what's wrong with a company selling something where the employees don't use the product? It means there's a breach in integrity somewhere. These are homes just in the last year that members of my team have bought, my employees. So they eat, live, breathe, sleep, and do this, and I'm helping them achieve their own financial freedom. Fun stuff. All right. Here's the basics of partnering, and here's the 7 quick steps. When I partner with someone, from day one all the way to today, 20 years later, it looks like this. There's always an active partner, and there's always a passive partner. The active partner does everything. Research the market, research the deals in the market, finds the deals, manages the rehab, lease options the property, leases it, property manages, does the accounting, taxes, selling the home, and then multiplying the portfolio. The passive partner, they put up the dough, and they make the important decisions like, yes, let's buy that house. Yes, it's time to sell and buy more houses. That's it. This is the way I structure my partnerships, and I call them 50-50. And when we sell, the original money that went in goes back to the investor, but you know what my investors do? What do they do to the machine?
Feed it back.
They just keep feeding the machine bigger and bigger, and I'll show you some of the math as to why. The reason why I still partner with people today is because this is my niche down. And also because I have a regret from 2008. 2008, real estate crisis, everyone lost their butts. I went in and bought thousands of homes in Vegas, Phoenix, Florida, and within the first 5 years, I made my investors $100 million. Do you know what my number one regret then was? That I didn't do 10 times more. That I didn't do 10 times more. Because if I had done 10 times more, what would that number have been? That would have been $1 billion. But it was my first recession, and I was inexperienced. So I've been waiting for Biden, someone like a Biden, to come along and make every bad decision, period. Seriously. He has made every, I didn't think it was possible to mess up this house that fast, right? Like every time he could have, sorry, I know I'm probably offending 3 of you out of 300. So for the 3 of you, I apologize. For the moderates, I apologize. I'm dumb enough to believe social media when they deep fake his voice and make him sound dumber than I think he really is. I'm just telling you that he's messed up things real good, and that is so good if you're an investor. Because someone gets paid to clean this stuff up. And what he's done, he's really messed up the economy. And next year, there's going to be an insane real estate boom. And I just want to say, thank you, Joe. All right. Here are the 7 steps to how I invest. We meet my team. We find the best path to purchase properties. We review the game plan. We get under contract. We do LLC's bank account setup. We purchase the property. We do ongoing management. What's the time?
20 minutes.
Oh, good.
Q&A.
Watch it. Yeah, we'll get to Q&A in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What do I want to talk about here? When someone partners with me, I give them my cell phone. I want to have a personal relationship. But don't be offended if I put on that thread also my team, because there's a lot that they are going to talk about and ask about, but I have a real relationship, and every day I'm texting and communicating with my partners. Step 2, we find the best way for you to buy. You might want to use your credit. You typically need 50 grand when you get into real estate. That's my minimum. You got to have 50 grand. Sometimes people partner up with each other. 50 grand will get you in the game. And if you don't got that, then have bigger goals next year. Deal? But if you got 50 grand on up, then someone might be in a position to partner with me. And if not with me, guys, go into those markets and buy real estate. Like, extrapolate and learn from this. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut your learning curve out, and I'm just going to take you to the top of the game where we play it at a hedge fund level to make the most money. And it's all passive. So we basically figure out, are you going to use your credit to buy, or do you want to use my fund? Because I have a fund just for my private partners. Step 3, we review your custom game plan. And with you, that game plan is going to be whatever you can do this year, have another successful year and put more in. Most people can't do that. If you put more in every year, then we're not talking about making $5 or $10 million. We're talking about legacy wealth. Like, we're talking about some really, really, really big assets. I need you to get this math. 25% annual ROI. I sell the house, I use the profits and the original down payment to buy 2 more. I'm earning 25% on each house. What's my total ROI? 25 plus 25 is what?
50.
I sell those 2 homes and I buy 4 more. I'm earning 25% on all 4 of them. What's my ROI? 100. Then I sell them later and I sell them later, and then I have 16 homes, and before you know it, I'm earning 400% a year on my money. That means in year 1, at some point, I put in 50 grand, and sometime down the road, I'm earning 200,000 every year. Please tell me you understand like how important that math is. Do you guys get that? Yeah. I'm earning thousands of % on a lot of my real estate right now. So when you're curious and you're like, come on, Kris, you can't be making $1 million an hour. Oh yeah, I can. And so can you. It's very easy. If you'll put money in the machine and reinvest and go nuts. Does that make sense? You guys are so tempted to buy, build bigger houses, drive nicer cars. That 1993 Honda Civic, there was still something so cool about that red spoiler for 5 years. All right. Okay, step 4, you get under contract and it's ready to time to buy, and we find really good deals, and then there's reasons, and then step 4, we get under contract, and I'm amazing. And step 5, we set up the bank and make it all passive for you, and then we buy the house. And then step 7, we just take care of everything and we do it again. And I've done it thousands of times. And I'd rather do some Q&A than kind of go deep on that. Woo! Is that okay? Woo! Is that okay? Yes. I could literally put 1,000 people up here bragging about their experience of what it's like. And this is what it comes down to, because even at this point, there's always 2 people in the room when they're done listening to me speak on real estate. And this is what it is. This dude has got to be the world's biggest ripoff I've ever seen. I put up all the money and Kris gets to split half of the profits. There's always a couple of those. And then there's this one. Oh my gosh, I am totally taking advantage of Krohn. I put up the money and Kris does 100% of the work and splits half the profits. And that's just something for you to play with. But there's a bigger principle that I want to share with you. You got 168 hours a week, and so do I. And if you think that you can be an expert salesperson and be an expert real estate investor and be an expert at doing private equity, and you're going to lose everything, because you're not everything. But there's people out there that are. Do you guys want to know how I'm building all of my wealth? Last year grew my net worth over $100 million. I'm buying my buddy's 8-figure company right now. In the next 3 years, I know I can turn that thing 9 figures. We literally just finished negotiating the deal today. I'm evaluating companies every week. I want to own 10,000 companies in the next 10 years. Like, I've got strategies and people and systems and CEOs for all of this. Like, my empire, we're not talking about, it is freaking monstrous. But do you know I have all that? Because I partner on everything that I do. I want to go into a new space. I find the expert in that space, and then I bring something that they need that they don't have, and 1 + 1 = 1 trillion. That's what I do. So partnering is my way of working with other people that just say, hey, I know that I'm never going to become a world-class, full-time real estate investor that has 10,000 Malcolm Gladwell hours. So I'd rather just honestly go to the dude that's going to do it all for me and where we can earn the highest returns possible. If there's some of you in this room that think that way, boom, boom, then here's just a couple of things to know. When people do work with me, there's 2 financial criteria. And I'll end with this and a QR code, and then we'll do a Q&A. Is that okay? Perfect. Here's the first one. When people work with me, I got to mentor them. And I'm not going to mentor you in real estate. I'm going to mentor you on money and mindset and everything about building wealth. Because that's how I make sure I do my part in making you a good mentor. And you got to pay $10,000 for that. You pay $10,000 to mentor with me, and then I'm going to be your partner for life. And the second thing is you then have to have at least $50,000 to put into real estate. You pay 10 grand to mentor with me, you pay $50,000 for that first house, you're in and you can take off. And from there you can grow and you can do a whole lot more. It's very simple, very basic. There's a lot more details to it, but that's kind of in the nutshell, the really big picture at the end of the day. And the last thing is I just need you to be positive, open-minded, and teachable. And if you are not positive, open-minded, and teachable, my team screens for one thing. That. Because I don't have time for the wrong partnerships. I'm looking for people that are aggressive, they're serious, they're committed, and they want to live their very best life possible. And they want to learn from me, and they want to steal everything that they can from me, and I'm going to give it all away, and I'm going to leave them better off 1,000 times better than they ever came to me. And that's the game. And I'm not the right mentor for everybody, but for some I am. And we do some pretty awesome common things. Anyone that is watching online, every one of you that is here, if you want to explore what an actual custom game plan would look like, not something generic, then I'm just going to skip these and tell you that everyone here can request a game plan. Jeff, where's the QR code?
We've got it.
Can you pop? Yeah, do you mind popping it up? All right. Oh, we're going to do it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This QR code, if you fill it out, what it will do is just give you a conversation with my team to explore partnership and basically what I'm going to teach you on the game of money and then how we're going to help you build a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Oh, look at that. It's nice of you guys to have made that. I like the crown. But yeah, there's the QR code. So if you want it, nab it. My team's going to be in touch with you. I've got a couple members of my team that you can jam with tonight. And otherwise, we'll be reaching out tomorrow, texting you, connecting, and seeing if we can come up with a game plan that will help you guys build some amazing, extraordinary wealth. With that, I'm done.
Hey, let's get
Q&A.
This is a pretty cool, just short backstory. My very first home I bought.
Do you want to say that in here for the people online?
Well, no, just quickly. So the very first home that I bought, and I'll say it here, the very first home I bought myself was in 2009 with Kris and team. It's also the very first home my brother bought in 2009. And I agree, I wish I had more money to buy more. I refinanced that home 2 times and finally sold it. I don't know what my official ROI was on it, but I made about 250 grand on top of my 25 grand at the time that I put into the first home. So it was insane. So love it. But Kris, thank you. One more round of applause before we get into this.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Bro, we should have done so much more. 2009, ooh, I like those times. All right, listen, we got some time for some Q&A. So what did I not?
I got a question for you, Kris.
All right.
This comes from somebody in our organization that works for us. He's just not here tonight, so he texted me directly.
Okay.
He just bought his second home. I think he's 23 now.
23, bought a second home, super impressive.
23, okay.
Is this on?
Yeah, here's your mic.
Yeah, we'll use that for the moderator and pass on the microphone. Yep.
Okay. This is his question, okay? He's bought a home for $128,000. You got a still on this, by the way.
Yes,
I don't know family situation.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's worth $235.
Yeah.
Okay? After renovations that he's already done. Would it be smarter for him to do a HELOC and do it again, or just sell it and go buy more?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do I keep it? He can't do a HELOC because it's non-owner occupied unless he's living in it. But he can do a cash out refinance or he can sell it. So if you get a property that is 50% paid off, it is time to harvest. If you go past 50%, your ROI becomes a diminished return. So when I'm like, don't ever pay stuff off, that's because the real juicy profits always land in the first, 50% pay down on the property and appreciation on a property. So I'm going for the highest percentage of earnings, and when they start to diminish, I sell that sucker and I multiply that into 2 or 3 more. So in his situation, because it's roughly half paid off, I wouldn't mind. I would evaluate the cash flow, the market that it's in, and the property manager, and based on its price point, I might rule to keep the home, in which case I'm going to do a cash out refinance so I can keep it and buy another one and wind up with 2. And if I didn't like the market, the property management team, the scenario, the location, I'm going to dump it and I'm going to buy 2 new homes in superior markets. Great question. Awesome. Okay, we're going to pass the microphone over here. Go ahead, put your hand up and use the microphone for our folks online. No, it's right here. There we go.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. You say superior market. We define superior market.
Well, the 4 markets that I showed you are better than your backyard. I won't buy real estate in Utah. I haven't bought a home in Utah other than a primary residence for probably 13, 14 years. I won't buy in Utah. Like this.
Florida, Oklahoma, Memphis, and
Arkansas. But on those 4 markets, I want to be really clear. There's a pocket that I'm buying in, and I am not buying in that market. I'm not buying in that city. Like I'm buying in a really tiny pocket to get that kind of ROI. Yep. Go ahead.
I love hearing my voice. Speaker. So if you had, I have 3 places here in Utah, investment properties. Would you recommend selling those and getting them into superior markets?
Yep.
Yes or yes?
Great question. Let's come right over here. Boy, you guys are lighting it up.
It's not directly related to real estate, but what would you do if you were 18 years old, right out of high school, 20 days off to make more money other than just blitzing?
If I was 18 years old, the first thing I'd do is I'd find an opportunity with a company that could help pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And this is where I would be. I think that you as an 18-year-old are so intelligent and smart. I would be using so much of your extra time to read sales books and find the people here that are killing it the most. And I want you to be the most annoying human being on the planet because you are insatiable in how many questions that you ask. Most salespeople, their pride gets in the way of actually getting better at their job. And so we all have a Peter level where we get satisfied. Never get satisfied. When you think you've aced one way, you find the superior way and you never stop looking for it. Yeah.
Kris, we've got a question from Jacob online.
Jacob online, his question is?
He says, what is the best way to save up $50K in order to invest? High return savings account? How to build up money quick enough to start investing earlier than later?
Before you think about putting money, Jacob, in a savings account, you got to ask yourself how to get better at your job and lowering your bills. So, like you guys understand in the sales industry, once someone starts making good money, what do? They blow it real hard and real fast. Here's the problem with that. Well, my expenses were $40,000 a year, and then I did $90,000 that year in summer sales, and I know I'm going to be better next year. So then I bought this Tesla and this other thing, and now my expenses are $80,000 a year. You go into the next year, and if you produce 120 or 130, you're like, hey, I'm on the right trajectory. And I'd say, no, you really effed it up. You just made sell that damn Tesla, like put yourself in a reasonable cheap A home, and go take all your winnings and throw it in the machine. That's what you do.
Feed the machine.
Feed the machine. Feed the machine. Just 5 years, folks. Feed the machine. I'm gonna come right here for this question because I didn't do it justice. Can I do your question real quick? What's your name? Dominique? Awesome. So I'll be very specific. My routine is always exactly the same. I wake up at 4 a.m. and within 10 seconds, I'm out of bed. I've put my earphones on, and while I'm taking 20 minutes to get to my private gym, I am, dressing, supplementing, injecting shots, like doing all of my routine. And what I'm doing during those 20 minutes is I'm listening to a book on double speed. I'm going to consume 40 minutes. I won't take notes. I won't go slow. I will go fast. My brain is not allowed to receive personal revelation. I'm not allowed to think about what I'm learning. I have to do nothing but hyper-focus on the author and everything coming in. I'm always rotating 2 books at one time. And that's because if one book gets into a lull of a boring chapter, I'm not going to waste a day of my life. I'm going to switch over. Every day I deserve to be inspired. And so I'll consume 30, 40, 50 books every year doing that methodology. 20 minutes later, I'm at the gym. I'm going to go right to my treadmill. I'm changing my soundtrack now to the kind of tunes that are going to facilitate my meditation. I'm going to do 30 minutes of cardio, bodybuilder style, so that I'm not going to waste my muscles away. I'm not doing anything terribly intense, but I'm moving my body, and I am actually meditating. The reason why I meditate while I'm on the treadmill is because it's an active meditation. If I can achieve meditation, the deepest levels of ascension, while I'm physically moving my body, then I can continue to access that all day long, even from this stage, holding a microphone, talking to you right now. My meditation is a deep connective God work. I'm going to practice 4 creation emotions. I'm going to spend 5 minutes going hard and deep on gratitude because I'm going to flood myself with dopamine. Like I drug myself hard with the pharmacy of my body the way God built it. Then I'm going to go hard for the next 4 or 5 minutes on joy because that's serotonin. So now I got dopamine and serotonin flooding. I'm thinking about everything I've ever done in my life, like skydiving or like hang gliding or Christmas morning or sex. Like I'm thinking about the things that produce like copious joy for me. And I'm serotonin, I said it again, I got you. I'm serotonin my brain. He likes that word. That guy right there, what's his name? He likes that word. Dax, I got you. He loves it. See, he loves it. Okay, afterwards I'm going for oxytocin. I'm going for the love drug. This is where I'm going to go deep and I'm going to connect to my soul that has been before, that will be after, that is veilless, that sees everything. It has a name. It's not the one that I go by. And I connect with him and I ask for a message that day for me. And then I ask, do I need to sit with my Heavenly Father, my Heavenly Mother, or Jesus Christ, or another guide? And then I ask him, what am I supposed to ask you? And then we have a conversation and we speak to each other and I learn and I receive. And it's my favorite part of the day. Then the rest of my meditation, I go into my mind palace where I practice everything in my future that I'm creating as if it's already happened. I'm experiencing it, touching it, tasting it, living it, and loving it, so that I'm putting all my creative, procreative powers into the universe for co-creating everything that I want to create. After 30 minutes of meditation where I feel deeply connected to myself, deeply connected to God, and where I have jacked my body, I've hyped my body on all of the good pharmacies that I can possibly create, that's when I go into my lifting routine with Trent in the back of the room right there and a couple other buddies. And I'll have my coach that will come in and we will murder each other and we'll enjoy doing it and smile and develop mental toughness. And then after that, I'm going to go home and make wild, passionate love to my wife for an hour. And then I'm going to spend an hour with my kids. And we're going to have the most incredible, I said it just for you. And then I'm going to spend an hour with my kids. I'm going to make them breakfast. I'm going to connect with them. I'm going to teach them Dad's most important lessons on life so that 9 a.m., everything that needed to happen for the day is done. And I'm free from there to now start creating. That's my morning routine. Yeah. All right. Other questions? Before we get kicked out of the room, we're going to come right up front. Does someone have that microphone? Oh, here we go.
Thank you. If you're going to do a house hack, do you like FHA, or you, I don't know, for first-time house hack, or do you want to go the FHA route, or what would you suggest?
I don't think I would get stuck on strategy. I would stay really open-minded. What I would do is 3% options exist in the world. I wouldn't get too carried away on what they are. I would make your commitment to save up money, and then I would buy a really smart house. I get a deal on it. I would be thinking, are you married? I'd be thinking about 5 roommates, even though they're only going to allow 4. And I'm going to have them pay for the mortgage so that I basically can live for free. Don't waste your money on rent. That's one of your biggest expenses. You want to eliminate that. Don't buy an expensive car before you're rich, because then you're also going to waste that money. Every day you spend buying stuff that has enslaved you to putting money out the door to maintain it so you can feel good, when the reality is in 3 months you won't give a shit about the car you're driving. Someone's going to key the side of it and you're like, oh, that sucks. It's a car. It's not special anymore. How many of you know this? Materialistically, we are unsatisfiable animals. So if you get caught up in the beast of constantly needing to upgrade your lifestyle because that feels good, you're playing the wrong game. Feed the investment beast so that it will buy all of your stuff forever and all time. Okay. I said that one already, but I just feel passionate about it because I'm passionate about you guys and I know you. Just need to get it in there. Okay. Anything online or any other questions?
Yeah, what are your top 3 reading recommendations?
Top 3 reading recommendations. That is I hate more than anything when people ask for books because I have read so many books. You should read, here's my top 3 reading recommendations. Read at least 2 books a month so that a year from now you've read so many books that you couldn't care about the top 3. When you ask for the top 3, half the time what we're saying is I'm lazy. Don't be lazy, become a reader. Leaders are readers because leaders, they know more stuff than other people, and you have a chance to take the smartest people on the planet and rake all the information, suck it right out of their head with 40 minutes a day, and so who cares what the top 3 books are? Read so many that it doesn't matter. That's what I would say.
What are the 2 books you're reading right now?
No. Okay. No, they're asking the question because you want to know. If I read what Kris reads, I'll be like Kris. No. Here's the real answer. The real answer is that the 2 books that I toggle between, it's always a personal development book, and then it's always a book in the skill that I'm mastering. I've mastered 37 things before I die. It will be 100 things, according to Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours. So if you are in the game of sales and you're not like the number 1 or number 2 dog, you better be going back and forth. It's a personal development book today. It's a sales book tomorrow, and I'm going back and forth. And if you haven't read Never Split the Difference, then you haven't read a high-quality sales book. Fine, I gave you 1 recommendation.
How old do you want to live to be?
No, you're not allowed to ask how old I want to live to be. I'm going to live forever. Yeah.
I saw on your Instagram earlier.
Yeah, online I tell people 144 years, but that's not true. I'm going to live forever. Because if I say 144 years old, I'm actually commanding the epigenetics of my body to age slowly. But if I tell myself, and I really believe I'm going to live forever, then I'm going to stop aging. What you believe is more important than reality.
Where do you get the source of volume of food?
The source of volume for food?
All your food, like where do you get your food from? You probably don't go to McDonald's. Where do you get
No. So I've done 3 bodybuilding competitions. In 2024, I have my next one. I'm in the process of gaining a lot of weight and eating 6,000-7,000 calories a day. So my food is like, I hate to say it, but yes, it's like ethically sourced and like totally natural and vegan and yeah. It's a lot of rice and chicken. That's what it is. Vegetables, rice, chicken, and derivations on that. Like, so right now it's 700 grams of carbs a day, 400 grams of protein, and 78 grams of fat.
So are you
all clean.
Are you trusting like your basic Costco's and Walmart's to get your ingredients, or do you have like your own source online?
Sometimes I hunt for my own meat. I shoot animals. It's just going to piss a few people off while we're at it. I shoot, kill, and eat my own animals. Right? No growth hormones. All right. Right in the back here.
Do you need solar for your house?
Yes. I need solar for my house. And Aaron, I think, put that in the contract of an agreement that we're working on. That has nothing to do with the agreement that we're working on. Yeah, because 40,000 square foot house needs solar.
Hey, just know it's one of our top dudes right there.
Okay. I was waiting. Yes. Split the commission. Here we go. Question in the back.
Yeah, so just quick question. So if you're significant other with your wife.
Significant other with my wife, yes.
So with your wife, you do all the investing, right?
Yes.
Everybody's told, hey, you gotta have an abundance of everything. How do you keep her involved? How do you help motivate her? Does she help you on that side?
Why do I have to motivate my wife, and why do I have to involve her?
Good point.
No, I don't understand. Why would I want that?
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Let's say she wants the nicer house.
So my wife, it doesn't matter how much money I have, my wife can still stress about money. It is the weirdest thing. So years ago, I came to her, I made this agreement. I said, Kalen, here's the deal. I'm in charge of money. Anytime you're curious, you can ask questions. You're never allowed to stress again. And we made that agreement, and I think 3 times in the last 6 years, she's like, hey, Kris. I'm like, is it about money? She's like, yeah. I was like, stop. Honor your promise. That's how I keep her in the loop. Yeah. You know, I just realized that may have sounded super misogynistic. But the reality is my wife does not really have interest and excitement in that game. She has so many other loves and passions. Something really important happened to me years ago. I had totally freed myself after my buddy died. And then I realized that I had all this time to spend with my wife, and the problem is that my wife wasn't free. Because I'd have it's like, honey, it's Wednesday, it's Wife Wednesday. Like, let's go do something. Let's take the jet and go somewhere. Want to go to Disneyland? She's like, well, I have to do the laundry, and I have to do the shopping, and I have to get the kids this thing, and I have to drive them to Taekwondo. And I'm like, okay, pause. I'm gonna free my wife. She had never had this desire in her life because it's tied to her mom instincts. And so I said, I wanna get you a personal organizer, and I'm gonna get you a personal assistant. I'm gonna get someone to do the cleaning, the kids driving, all of that. And she fought me so hard. For 3 weeks, it was epic battles. You can't take this from me, it's my identity. And I said, I love you so much. Here's the deal. You know I'm not gonna let go of this. Let me hire the people. After 3 weeks, if you hate it, I will fire all of them and I will never bring it up again. She agreed reluctantly, hired the people. 3 weeks later, she came to me in tears. She said, Kris, this is the best life ever. So, for your spouse, I do things like that instead of talking about money. It's really not her kind of pillow talk. We have time for one more? One more question. Okay, we're gonna let's run that microphone right here.
Okay, this is an actual personal one. I got lucky and granted some stock in Tesla. Okay, and I forgot to look at it until like 2 months ago.
Okay.
It's worth several $100,000.
Okay. That's a cool gift. But can I just ask, who?
Who what?
Who gifted that to you?
No, Tesla. Yeah, no, I was working for Solar City. That's how I got into solar first time.
Got it.
Tesla bought us right before they shut us down. But a week before I quit, I got $8 grand, which is now several hundred. So
cool.
Let that ride forever. Let it ride, because who knows?
Are you trying to give me advice right now? Because I disagree with it.
Or, no. Or sell that, buy it, jump into buy as many extra homes as you could.
Let me tell you the number one mistake that salespeople make. They come into money and they put all their eggs in one thing. So for example, if it was real estate, they'd put their money in a 8-plex because that would take all their money, and then they would own a thing in real estate. I would rather own 8 homes than an 8-plex because I have liquidity and individual performance and the law of average on all 8 of them as opposed to one thing. I would take that stock, and by the way, I will put money in publicly traded companies that haven't experienced their Zoom. And when I do, my rule is when the money quadruples, I take out my original investment, I let it ride, and then I keep playing. If I'd probably keep 50K in Tesla Max. I'd pull out the remainder of it, and I would put it not into a thing, but I would put it into multiple things. In the game of real estate, you put it into multiple homes. When you have a real estate portfolio that is set up and good, for those of you that are advanced and you're really high income earners, you need to get in the game of private equity. So I invest in companies every year, and I get involved with them that have massive asymmetric upside. Here's really funky math I'm gonna give you right now. Most successful hedge fund manager ever, Ray Dalio. Returned $27 billion to his investors over his 25-year career. And here's what he would do. He would take money and he would divide it across 10 different companies that had 20,000% upside potential. And he knew that 70% of them would never hit that. But he could get 30% of them to hit it with his research and finding the companies. And so on the majority of his money, they would lose, and on a little bit of the money, they would go through the roof. And that's called high asymmetric investing. Asymmetry means the downside is I put 25 grand in, if it doesn't work, I lose 25 grand. But I didn't pick an opportunity that could have doubled. That would have been symmetrical. I lose 25 or it goes to 50. It's equal. Do you guys see that? Lose 25 or go to 50 is equal. You're looking for something where you can lose 25 as your worst case scenario, lose 8,000 and have it go to 300 grand. That's asymmetry. You did it once, you should have some of your money looking for 10 more of those. And I do have a private investors club where that's all we do, where we hang out and we look for those investments. And that's a very cool game. That's actually one of my favorite games, and that's how the wealthy become uber wealthy. It's not real estate. There's a reason why I have 3,100 billionaires, that there's only 178 of them that did it in the game of real estate. with the wealthiest at 16 billion. So small. Number one in the world was a dude named Ben that in the 70s bought 10,000 acres in California in the right spot. That's it. That's what he did to be number one in real estate. But if you want to blow past those numbers and you want to go really big, in your situation, I would probably keep some Tesla. I would put a ton into single family. And then after I have my single family next year, I'd start playing a private equity game. Because right now, look at my situation. I buy a home every day. What do you think is going to happen next year when those rates drop and those prices skyrocket? I will have a happy dance. Yes. Yeah, it's solar on all of them. But I'm also going to tell you that on all of my private equity deals, when they shoot up, I just had one deal that I started in 3 years ago, and the company didn't do everything I wanted it to, but it's now worth $27.5 million, and we're exiting it. And my portion on that is $10 million. And so I'm like, okay, do you guys know how much money I put into it? Nothing. I'm getting 10 million. So my asymmetry on that one is pretty crazy. That's the stuff that I look for. That is the stuff. So real estate is going to guarantee one day you have insane money. Private equity means that you can have insane money inside the next 5 years. So it's a combo of all that. The last thing I'd advise is that when you own your own company, don't put all your money in it. You give it time or money, but it doesn't get both. My friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope we had a good time. I had a great time. Thank you guys so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Give a little extra. Give a little
No, stop. Appreciate you, man.
So good.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. I'm gonna close this out here, but to start off real quick.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're the
Raise
best,
your
man.
hand if you
Like,
feel like
seriously.
you got like
Can't
some
tell you
legit
enough. Thank
value out of that you can take
Thank you,
home and
brother.
be like,
Thank you.
wow, that was beyond worth coming for. Keep it up real quick for me. All right, do me a favor if you're willing to help us a little bit with what you feel like you learned tonight. You'd be a volunteer for us. Need about 4 or 5. All right, if your hand is still up, do me a favor. When you wrap, please walk up and talk to Kate for a minute. He's going to pull you in another room before you head over to the office for the after party. Needs a 30-second testimonial for a little bit of extra hype video and some stuff that we're going to do around this since this is our last final event of the year. One more time, give it up for Kris. Guys, I don't know how, there's everybody in this room's at a different stage of life, so I don't know what you guys experienced that